Hi, my name's Andrea Gardner and I'm here to tell you about the Myerscough College Ag Net Zero Challenge. The aim of the project was to work with farmers to support them in improving their farm practices to reduce carbon emissions and also to support young learners and adults in their skills and learning going forward. To deliver the project, we did 10 carbon farm audits across 10 different Lancashire farm types. Then we delivered 5 carbon farm roadshows. Myerscough College's Lodge Farm was the project demonstrator farm. We invested in capital equipment which enabled us to demonstrate best practice to farmers. This started with us mapping all of the fields and conducting soil analysis across the whole of the farm. This also included texture mapping, measuring soil compaction or drainage issues. The results of the soil analysis gave us the available nutrients in the soil. All of this data was inputted into the harvest lab, which then enabled on-farm organic manures to be applied at a variable rate according to the results of the soil tests and the future needs of the next crop. The slurry was applied using an umbilical spreader. This technique enabled a reduction in carbon emissions on diesel travelling to and from the main farm. Dribble bars on the spreader place the slurry directly on the grass as opposed to a splash plate, which is traditionally used by farmers to spread slurries. Splash plates incur volatilisation of the slurries, leading to the release of greenhouse gases and displaced pollution of valuable nutrients. This technology has not only improved farm efficiency by placing the right farm nutrients in the right place, but also reduced the need for purchased fertilisers. On the first cut silage crop taken, there has already been a saving of 4 tonnes of purchased fertiliser. The self-propelled Keenan feeder includes NIRS technology, providing real-time analysis of dry matter and nutrient content of the silage taken to feed the cows. The self-propelled technique leaves a more uniform silage face, preserving the silage in the ground plant, and the silage mix fed to the livestock is more uniform, which increases cow intake. Ultimately, better use of preserved forages reduces the amount of feed purchased by the farm for increased yields. The Sumo direct drill places seed directly where required at a variable rate and with minimum soil disturbance, again improving soil health and future crop productivity. Whilst all this technology may not be affordable to many farmers, the practices of measuring and monitoring nutrients in soils, slurries and preserved forages will enable farmers to rethink soil health and the value of their own organic manures, especially in the current climate of rising input costs. Furthermore, there are now capital grants and farming investment funds available to farmers to purchase equipment and improve farm productivity.
Hi, I'm Elaine Smith and we own Home Farm in Croston. We are a robotic milking farm. We've got 2 milking robots. The carbon audit results showed us that our carbon output was pretty good for our kilogram of milk production. We used 2 tools and I think it was quite unusual in that both tools gave us very, very similar results. I think that's probably due to the way that we produce our milk and everything being fairly consistent. Our carbon output was 1.28 kilograms per kilogram of product, so I think we were told that was a pretty good result. There's still lots of opportunities for us to improve our carbon output, but I think we're doing pretty well so far. So we're going to look at more renewable energy sources. We already have solar panels. They're alright, but only particularly effective in the summertime. We are particularly looking at hydroelectric, so we have a river next door and a weir. So that's something that would be really, really interested in pursuing and looking at further. We can also look at tailoring our diets to be more effective, particularly per cow or per group. We're also looking at improving our milk production from our homegrown forages, and then improve land management and fertiliser use, and just getting back to basics, making sure that we soil sample and we get our ground work right at the start of the season, which is already starting to make a big difference on our yields already. So this year we'll see an improved carbon score result anyway, because our cows, we're a very young herd, so our cows will mature and milk production will increase as they age. We'll also, with our work on our homegrown forages, the feed conversion will help with that as well. We'll continue to look at different ways to reduce our carbon footprint, So there is a direct link between our carbon efficiency and obviously our profitability. We're also looking to invest in a third robot and also within our slurry storage as well.
Hello, my name's Craig Thompson. I'm Head of Agriculture and Countryside here at Myerscough College, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about our AgNet Zero project here at Myerscough and how we've used it in teaching our agriculture students. We have around about 100 and 120 agriculture students from level 1 through to degree level courses. So our students have been learning about the equipment that we've purchased here at the college and how that reduces greenhouse gas emissions in agriculture. We've had specialist lectures from people who have been using the equipment and then training also on how farmers can use some of this technology to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions on the farms back at home or on the farms that they work on. It's a key skill that's going to become really important in the careers of future farmers. So our students have had several events where they've learnt about this sort of equipment in the background here, the dribble bar and the umbilical system, connected to the John Deere Harvest Lab, and how that can really improve outputs while also reducing greenhouse gas emissions. It's creating win-win situations for farmers. So hopefully reducing costs whilst at the same time reducing greenhouse gas emissions. So really important learning for our students, key skill for the future, and all contributing towards a viable and sustainable farming future.
Hi Ron, thanks for agreeing to be interviewed. Myerscough College has invested quite a lot of equipment and technology in this project. Can you tell us how this has helped you in your studies at Myerscough?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm doing level 3 agriculture at Myerscough, and seeing all this equipment that you see in lessons and that on the theory side of it, for then coming back to the farm and being able to see it in practical really helps to see where it can be applied, because most farmers can't afford to be able to be forking out loads of money for this type of equipment, and having access to it in your practical lessons and seeing how it works and seeing the advantages of it is really good for applying it to your work. And also when you get home to your own farm, trying to convince people that it's a good thing.
Oh, good answer. So what's the future for you?
So I'm looking at doing ruminant nutrition, having a go at that, because I feel like it's quite an interesting topic. It's something that's always going to need doing, and with the increasing problems of prices and regulations on what you can and can't feed, being able to look for ways to improve farmers' cows.
Brilliant, thank you for that. So the self-propelled keenan feeder will have been of particular interest to you in your studies. Just one last question finally. Do you think farmers and UK agriculture can support the government to achieve net zero targets?
Yeah, I think they definitely can, because it's allowing the government, if they communicate more with the farmers that are actually experiencing their own farms and the stuff that happens on the farms, it allows them to talk to the government and that kind of stuff and get their point across on why they can do and what we can do to play our own part.
Thank you very much for that, and good luck for the future.
Thank you.
Ambitious key performance targets have either been met, exceeded, or are still being realised. The number of staff and CPD days undertaken have been exceeded, which will support future projects embedding sustainability within the curriculum. The number of employers attending seminars and roadshows has been more than double the original target set, and the number of employers benefiting from one-to-one advice and guidance has also been exceeded. In line with the ambitions in the Skills for Jobs White Paper, we have built stronger and effective relationships with employers by developing a farmer network in Lancashire to enable farmers to meet up and discuss opportunities and new developments in agriculture. In line with the ambition of the Skills White Paper to build stronger and effective relationships with employers, one of the outcomes of the project was to develop a new farmer network in Lancashire. So with that in mind, we had a launch event last September at the Fit Centre at Myerscough College. A number of farmers attended to learn about the new project and what we were doing within that, and also to pulled together a series of meetings which were delivered over last winter period and events which farmers attended, not just to learn about the project and reducing carbon emissions, but look at other technology and other discussions that was topical to agriculture at the time.
The project has enabled the design and build of a bespoke website for the AgNet Challenge. Here you can find details of the challenge, crediting the project partners, and most importantly including details of the 10 case studies taken from the Lancashire farms. The format of the case studies includes farm details and their individual carbon audits using Agricale and Coolfarm as comparable carbon audit toolkits. As a result of the audit, a SWOT analysis provides farmers with the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, thereby identifying good practice. In this example, we welcomed the Morrisons to present their ambition of sourcing red meat from net zero farms, creating a circular economy, and the current problems and opportunities of peat land management. For each farm, we showcase different examples within their own case studies. The website also has a page where farmers can find details of the Lancashire Farmer Network. The site also has current events and training, and we also have latest news. The content here is taken from DEFRA updates. Last year we delivered DEFRA Farm for the Future, so we have a tab to show what we did, and of course you have your contact details here for any further information.
The Carbon Roadshows were delivered as knowledge transfer events. So the overarching question was asked of those attending farmers: do knowledge transfer events on carbon management support practices to reduce carbon emissions? The survey was given to the attending farmers and we asked what was their knowledge of carbon management before and after attending the KTE. Prior to attending, the majority of farmers scored either no or some knowledge. After attending, there was a clear shift away from no or some to good knowledge, and with some saying excellent. Therefore, the events had improved their knowledge of carbon management. Breaking down the event, we asked what at the event supported this shift. Overall, the knowledge of speakers was clearly a success. Speakers included the carbon management auditors, agronomists, ruminant nutritionalists, and the expertise of the farmers who hosted the events. For some farmers, there was a lacking confidence of the carbon auditing toolkits with no standard approach to the figures. However, overall, it is significant that the blended learning approach delivered at the events contributed to their success. Qualitative research was also asked, where farmers commented on what practices, if any, they would implement as a result of attending the events. There was a mixed response to these questions, which was categorised as either positive or negative. What was significant was where prior research has enabled either an economic or an environmental or a social response. There was no clear definition on these categories, as practices to reduce carbon emissions can be environmental and economic. Further work on this project could include investigating if farmers actually implemented what they said they would implement, and of course to roll the project out to wider groups of farmers. As further research concludes, DEFRA are now working with AHDB to provide standard figures for carbon. Therefore, this should improve confidence in carbon auditing. The results of this survey have contributed to my MSc in Agricultural Practice and will be shared to evaluate the success of the project. So what's next? Well, we've purchased a training vehicle, we're going out on the road to share where we've come from and what we've achieved. So please join us on our journey to net zero.